Hey everybody, Eric Dorward here at the Spartan Rocketry Club, continuing our build of the Estes Sasha. It's time to put the larger fins on the second stage here. That's probably all we're really going to accomplish in this video. I have basically done nothing since the previous video other than let the glue dry. So it's time to move on. Alright, so as a reminder, these fins are going to go on the lines we haven't used yet at the mark that I made that's 3 inches up. This should be slightly more challenging to take care of. Good news is that there's a lot of surface area on these fins in order to get plenty of glue, so we should get good glue adhesion, one would hope. Bad news is the fins weigh more, so they are more likely to fall over. Hopefully that won't come up. The other thing that's going to be slightly more challenging is all these fins I attached right at the back, which is nice, makes things easy. These are not going to go right at the back. I do need to make sure they are all lined up right at the marks that I made, so that will make things a wee bit more difficult, but hopefully not too much. Alright, so 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to put the second layer of glue on. Try to keep this light. I do need to spread this out because that was not particularly even. I can see that it is a little beaded up in places, so not consistent. Alright, I am going to grab a good hold on the front. I am going to line up the back right at that mark, hopefully on the line, and then I'm just going to roll things forward. And I am going to put a decent amount of pressure downwards and just hold this in place for a good 30 seconds. Now I'm pushing, and there are fins down there, so that's not super great for the other fins, so don't push too hard. I'm more supporting it with my right hand than I am, mostly to try to avoid putting strain on those fins. But I do need to maintain some pressure, otherwise this isn't gonna work too well. Alright, I'll give it a few more seconds and then we'll assess how things are. I definitely need to smooth out this seam here. So there's a good amount of glue that seeped out. I do need to adjust the back end just a little bit. It's not quite on the line, it looks like. Front looks good. Alright, so then I'm going to take a peek down here, check just generally for alignment. I want it to be perpendicular. It's not quite. That's good enough for now. Again, this is one of those things that we will, I want it to be more or less perpendicular, but I can get the fine details done once I have all 4 fins on. So let's continue the process here. And I do want to keep the rocket oriented up right now while I'm waiting to attach the next one. This way I'm putting the least amount of strain, I guess, on the fins so they don't flop over. This is extra time for that glue to set up because as soon as this is ready, I need to attach it, and hopefully the other fin, the fin that's already on there, will be pretty well stabilized so it's not going to fall over as I fiddle with this. So I'm not in a huge rush, of course, but the pressures here are, I want to get the glue to set a bit, but I also want to make sure that by the time I have all 4 fins on, I haven't let so much time pass that that first fin is not going anywhere before I've checked to see how accurately I attached it. Because we do need to make any final adjustments while the glue is still pliable, I guess would be the right word. Okay. So this is the point where hopefully that extra time is paid off and the fin isn't going to fall over while the first fin isn't going to fall over while I attempt to put the second one on. Alright. Hold it for about 30 seconds, maybe a little longer. This is always very exciting. Having the extra fins on does make this a bit more challenging, because usually the first two that you put on, you can leave the tube on the ground and you don't have to support it, but this time you do. So we've got other fins and they are in the way. Alright, let's take the hands off and see how I ended up doing here. Smooth out that seam. Okay. It looks pretty centered on the line, and it's, you know, looks passable, I guess, in terms of right angle. So we continue on. Once I get all four on, I'm not going to rely on the grid on my mat here. I am going to rely on, I'm going to switch back to the kind of shadow imprint that's in the instructions and use that for alignment. Those are nice to have, especially when you have this rather odd configuration of fins. And this kind of leaked over to the side, so I'm going to clean that up a little bit before I attach it. That's probably not necessary because I'm going to end up slopping some glue out the side anyway, but you know, it doesn't hurt. Might as well. Give it some time to set up. By the way, the top parts of these, I didn't sand, I mean I sanded them to get any burrs out, but I did not round them. I usually do. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't feel it necessary this time. There are a couple reasons. One is that when you have a cut like this, it's awfully porous, right? So there you can see the holes. That's basically the grain interior to the wood. That will need to be plugged up with something. But rounding it, my understanding is that pretty much you don't want to have any flat exposed edges if you can help it for aerodynamic purposes. So I probably should have rounded those edges. It's not too late. In fact, once we get to the finishing steps and I end up doing my usual approach with wood fill and stuff like that to try to get rid of the grain of the wood, that usually messes with my rounding anyway. So I could always wait until that point and then round those fins. Wouldn't be the world's worst idea. Alright, 2 down, 2 to go. This is going to be a little bit harder again because now I have a fin that is much longer than the first 2 that we had. So I need my left hand here to support everything. This is always a little bit harder to get things on the line just quite right. So I'm going to check like right away now. The back looks fine. I can't actually, oops, can't see through my right hand. And, ooh boy, well, that wasn't great. Alright, well, I'm definitely going to have to clean that up. But we'll hold it in place here and have to glue tack mostly before trying to assess what we got here. Again, you might be able to see better than I from my vantage point. All I can really see is one face of the fin and a whole lot of glue. But we'll take a peek here shortly. Alright. It's on the line pretty well now. You can see, yeah, there's all that glue. That needs to be smoothed out. Okay. Yeah, this side looks like it could stand to be cleaned up a little bit too. Alright, and then let's check vertical right angle alignment. Well, you can actually, let me look at it this way. The this fin and this fin are like not even close. to being in line with each other. And that's not the only thing that matters, but it sure does matter. So I'm just going to try to adjust them now. Yeah, they don't even look like they're on the same plane, honestly. But they're both on the line, so not sure why that happened, but it's at least ballpark right now, I think. So we'll get the last fin on, and then we'll worry about final adjustments to alignment. The unfortunate reality is that even if you draw the lines on, like I've done, and you use a straight, well, you use a door jamb, which I'm assuming is straight, it probably is. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to have fins that are perfectly where they ought to be, or that they are perfectly straight, even if they follow the line. Because there's a lot that can happen to the line as you're drawing it that could unbalance it or make it not actually a straight line. So we do our best, and that's why you have that final alignment anyway. So if you have to make some adjustments, you have to move some fins around the body tube a little bit, you have to change the alignment maybe a little bit, you can do that. It's better that they actually be truly aligned than they follow the lines that you drew on the tube. Alright. Last little bit of glue here, and then we'll see about attaching this fin. There we go. Alright, last one. Myself a good grip here before we start this. Actually, I'm going to try to put the front end of this on an object here to support things a little bit. Alright, lined up in the back, rolling forward onto the line. You can see already that I missed the line in the back a little bit, so let's try to gently readjust that. I can live with that. Alright, did smear glue a decent amount, but that's okay. Let's get this in place, and then we will worry about cleaning up the glue residue and making any last moment alignment changes that need to be made. Alright, that's probably set reasonably well. Let's check my alignment. Looks pretty good. Clean up the glue, at least a bit. Let's check, yeah, the other side needs to be cleaned up as well. Not as much, fortunately, but some. Just smooth that out. That actually looks pretty straight. Alright, so now it's time for the moment of truth. So I need to go into the instructions, and here's a fun fact about the instructions too. The accuracy of this really very much depends on the paper being completely flat, which it probably isn't. So let's take a peek. Probably can't see very well in doing this, but I at least I've got the four fins that I had attached earlier. They are in place. And now I am just going to gently adjust the new fins so that they appear in line with the shadows that are on the paper. So this is a chance for not only the four fins that we just attached to be lined up with each other, but also to the other four fins, which we should be pretty happy with at this point, one would hope. And if we're not, well, bummer, because they are set. They're not going anywhere. Alright. Taking a peek again, it's always a good idea to check from multiple vantage points, so rotate everything. At least do 190-degree rotation to make sure that everything is in the right place. I'm actually going to do this one more time because I don't completely trust it at the moment. That's fine. Better safe than sorry. Alright, that actually looks pretty good. I am confident in that. It's time to just let this sit. So there is a decent amount of construction still left to be done. I don't know that I'm going to get it done in one video. Might be another, might be two. Unknown at this point. But this needs to, again, dry, and it needs to dry for several hours before I start messing with anything else. Next video, then, we'll figure out what to do with these little dowels. We'll attach launch lugs, and last but not least, we've got these decorative little straights that are going to go along the body tube in a couple places. All right, so time to dry. I will see you in the next video.